explaining it again, but I've already explained it. I'm a middle ground type of guy. I'm okay with the idea of an interesting story emerging. And I always say this, and people listen to what I say. We're not storytelling with D&D. And I don't say that to attack people that like to care about story-related things with Dungeons and Dragons. I say we're not storytelling because storytelling expects a lot, not just from the person running the game, but players. And there is an expectation that just is not met in D&D. That's why games like Pendragon exist. I tell people it's not that I'm opposed to storytelling elements, and I always mention there are storytelling elements that are part of the game. Right? I always point that out. My issue with calling what we do storytelling, first off, it's not true. That's why Pendragon does exist, because that's an actual attempt at storytelling with a tabletop role-playing game. I always point out that we're using these elements, but we're not storytelling, because calling what we're doing storytelling when we're not, for a lot of people, and I mean for a lot of people, ends up being used in terrible ways to justify things, to have an agenda. And so what I realized is by calling what we're doing storytelling, or really focusing on story, becomes a negative element to what we do. And then I'll have people that will come along and say other things to me that just hold no water. Like one guy recently said to me, well, we focus more on mechanics and story, so we're getting away from narrative. That's a complete lie. You go to like 95 to 99% of games, especially with D&D, outside of, say, the old school especially, and you'll notice there is the rule of cool to avoid challenges, and this is with the vast majority of games. There is storytelling to justify no character death, like to avoid character death. That's most games. That's not some. That's not just 51%. That's like 95 to 99%. Right? So this argument is used in terrible ways. I say, at the end of the day, we are playing a game. Not the mechanics, but this is a game that uses elements of storytelling, acting, and you would call it sort of like some board game elements. They mix in to a single package to make a unique game, and we are playing the game. I say, my argument always is, if we just focus on all the elements that are part of the experience, then that's what we're looking for. And we're not looking for what story emerges as much as we are looking for a great experience as the people participating at the table. Like, we're looking to have a great experience where we escape the real world, and it is really our experience in the game, during the gaming session, that is most important. That's why I say, if we just do what the game is about and all elements, like we go to social interaction with the characters, right? Well, that's important. I say it's important all the time. I'm a middle ground type of person. But I realize when we focus on just one side of what we're doing, say just a story or even just the mechanics, it gets to an extreme where we see people with agendas and bullshit that they're pushing. I go, a story emerges, but we shouldn't have to focus on that, because we're really focused on what we're doing during the gaming session to have a good experience for the people participating. So it's like, look, dude, even if we do everything right, it doesn't mean every type of story that would emerge from a session is going to be great for the person reading in, right? It could be fun for the people participating, while it's not fun for the people checking it out. And I always say that's first off. The main focus is the people participating, not the onlooker, right? So it's like, look, if you stick too much to the board game, you'll skip social interaction, right? And social interaction comes a bit with performance and liking how things are going for the characters and for your experience at the table. Social interaction is first, in a D&D game, performance. Second, it is character development, right? So there's elements of acting and narrative right there. But we're worried about the experience. So are we having fun performing? Is the development of the character letting you connect to your character more? So you have a better connection to the game through your character, better connection to the world, better connection to the experience through your character. That's the aim. It's to connect with the experience, not with worrying about a story being told. Right? It's about, I want to drill this. This is about the experience at the table. So is developing a character, that bit from storytelling that we're borrowing, even though we're not storytellers, but we're borrowing like pieces of storytelling, that narrative bit to develop the character, does that help you connect to the character, connect more to the world through the character, and enhance your experience? Because that is the main aim, not the story that comes afterwards. Your experience at the table. If your experience at the table is boring, but we could tell a great story afterwards, you have lost the fucking plot of what we're doing. So to me, the story that emerges, I hope it's good, but it is secondary, and I say it's almost meaningless. See, the story, we're not storytellers, but we're borrowing elements of storytelling. That would be like, say, developing a character. We're borrowing elements of acting or drama class. That's performing in that social interaction and many things that you're doing throughout the game. And then is there an element of sort of board gaming? Like an element, not the whole thing. We're not just playing just a board game. We're borrowing an element from it that might have to do with combat and other technical things we're doing, tactical things. All these things come together to make a unique game, and we don't just storytell, we don't just do drama class, and we don't just do a pure board game. And so all these elements are pieces that come together to make a tabletop role-playing game, which is unique away from storytelling. It's unique away from drama class. It's unique away from a pure board game. It's not my fault that you guys don't seem to understand these details. That's on the new school to get a better education. Like if these things have already been established, you need to better educate yourself. But there is a large portion of people in the new school that simply do not understand these things. These are not new ideas. They simply are fucking out there, and they're not educated on what they say. They just make shit out of their ass. These are not new ideas. The ideas of story and collaborating has been around since, I mean, as early as I can remember 1981 that I've read it, but I mean, probably even in the 70s. I mean, you can even hear about story in 75 from theater kids that were playing it. Yes, theater kids playing it in 75. Talking about story in D&D. So, dude, hate to pick on you. Just being real. Basically, what you're not accepting is I'm just correct on the storytelling elements. You're just using elements, and then you're calling it outright storytelling. But you're not storytelling. You're using storytelling elements, and a story emerges. This has already been described to you. You're just calling it something it's not. It's not a difference in idea. It's just got to correct you. It's just using storytelling elements, and then the story emerges from what you're doing, like my walk. It's all that's happening, Mike. It's all that's happening, kiddo. Sorry, I'm not trying to be hateful with you. I'm just trying to be real with you. Storytelling elements and a story emerges. This has already been explained to you. So you're just now painting, like you're painting something you've been accurately told about into something it's not. That's all you're doing. What I would have said to someone like you, if you care this much about the topic, you should have better educated yourself on the topic before you make a big scene of it and push for a big argument where you're guessing all the way through. I don't get why some people go to the public like that. I get at people like, if you're going to have a really strong take on this, you should at least go look into it a bit more. I mean, that should be something you actually concern yourself with, because then you might come out and go, It's right. We are using storytelling elements for not completely storytelling, and a story emerges. All right. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what's happening. What you're collaborating on is playing a game together and doing an adventure or whatever you're doing. So the collaboration isn't about storytelling. You are collaborating, but you're collaborating on surviving. You're collaborating on getting the treasure. You're collaborating on defeating the bad guy down there. Right? But it's a game element. You're collaborating on playing a game and being successful together. That's the only collaboration that's going on, dude. But what happens is people want to bring in the storytelling thing as a justification to say, well, storytelling means we should skip character death. We should have the rule of cool to skip challenges. It doesn't matter if we play poorly as long as we push the story ahead because we're story. No. You're collaborating on being successful with characters in a game.